Hi everyone, Nemo here. Well, we did it. We made it to 5k and as promised, there's going to be a giveaway. And there's also going to be a Q&A, so go on, get ready to ask me anything. Get warmed up in the comments. But let's start by talking about Daniel here. Now, between October the 17th and November the 11th, Daniel went on an adventure. He spent some time with the BRITVENGERS. And in honour of our friend Keith Erickson, who recently visited the UK as part of the British and Irish Rescue, there's a new horse in town. Meet Keith. But Keith's not sticking around very long, because one of you is going to be the proud owner of your very own horse. That's right, they can pull chariots, they can be mounted as cavalry, and they're cute as a button. Now, all I need you to do is tell me in which 4 videos Daniel appeared, who he was behind, and then subscribe to the following BRITVENGERS: 21st Century Saints, Mormon Civil War, Priesthood Dispatches, and I guess you could subscribe to me as well as you like. Also, make sure if you're on Facebook, go and check out the Sunstone UK page. I'll give you a hint as to Daniel's whereabouts. You may want to check all of the times that the BRITVENGERS have assembled. Send your answers to Nemo the Mormon at gmail.com. I'll pick a winner at random in 2 weeks, he should be in your home by Christmas. Anywhere in the world, really. Unless you're in Australia, then I might struggle. Best of luck. And in case you haven't noticed, the channel has merch now. So if you don't win, Daniel, you can buy a niche Mormon YouTuber's t-shirt, if that's what you're into. In other news, there is going to be a new type of content coming up. I'm going to be doing interviews, but with a twist. Because there are plenty of places out there you can find interviews with Mormons and post-Mormons. They're all brilliant, fantastic. But I want to hear from non-Mormons about their experience interacting with Mormons. I'll be talking to old school friends, religious education teachers, and others who offer a non-Mormon perspective on the Mormon world. I'm really excited for it, and so you don't miss it, you better hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell. So let's have a look at some of your questions, shall we? Right, it's all going to go off in the chat. Okay. Okay, right, Doug Vincent. Straight in. He says, do I have a pet other than Daniel? If not, are I a cat or a dog man? I'm a dog man, 100%. Sorry to the 50% of the audience that will upset, but dogs are superior. Okay, right, what have we got? We got hello from New York City, thank you very much. Someone said, would you consider debating the Midnight Mormons? No. No, not really. Yeah, I'm just going to ask the question. No, if you want to know why I don't, ask another question. Someone said, hey Nemo, did you do a mission? Yes, I did. Yeah, I served a mission. I served a church service mission, kind of. I was a temple ordnance worker. I was also a full-time proselytizing missionary. Mashed together, sort of. It was weird. But, you know, that's what I did. So it says, hi Nemo, any feedback from local church authorities? We are 3 minutes into the live stream. Someone's already asking effectively whether I'm going to get excommunicated or not. We're straight in there. Okay. So, I am in discussions with local church authorities, that's all I'm going to say. That kind of tends to happen when you email your opposing vote to the area presidency directly. So, someone said, where can we get the merch? It's in the link in the description. We've started off quite small, quite minimal. A couple of t-shirts, a button and a baseball cap. But if you have any ideas for merch, it's a Redbubble site, so I can create some logos and put some stuff. It's a cool it's a retro take on the title logo from my channel. So I was asking, what do your family think of your newfound publicity? Any pushback from family? Yeah, there's been some pushback. Some members of my family aren't as happy as others about it. You know, that happens in a lot of families. Yeah, that tends to be the way it goes. Logan, what have we got for me, Logan? Okay, cool. Always appreciated telling me I'm cool, Logan. Thank you very much. Doug Vincent, why won't you debate the Midnight Mormons? Okay, I think their debate with RFM showed that... Well, I'm not sure debate works. I think I think the debate with them won't work because I, I think we saw it. We saw it with RFM, how it very quickly descended into ad hominem. I think with a debate, you end up in a place where you're just trying to disprove the other person. You're trying to almost win against the other person. I think what would be more effective would be a conversation with them. I'd have a conversation with them, I suppose, if they were willing. But, you're all going to hold me to that now if they reach out and I decide I actually don't want to. So don't hold your breath. I might just decide I don't fancy it because, I'll do what I want. Okay. Someone said... I should sell stuffed tapirs. Yeah, the company Ravensden that makes them probably would like to keep selling them. So I'll just give them away instead. They'll be the symbol of the community. I'm being asked by Priesthood Dispatches, will I keep the mustache? It is not so much a question of will I keep the mustache as will my wife allow me to keep the mustache. I think that is the more pertinent question. You see what I did there, everyone? Just so we know, I took their question and I answered the question they ought to have asked. There's a common theme of Elder Bednar, particularly. That's how he tends to do stuff. So we'll see. I quite like it, actually. It's not bad. It's not terrible. It's better than the Amish thing I had going on a few months ago. When did I start having doubts about the church and its teachings? Ooh, okay. It's not that long ago. Call it like November 2017, maybe was the first time I thought, oh, okay, I'm not sure. This is all it's cracked up to be. I'm not sure. This is what's... I'm not sure that what I'm being taught is an accurate reflection of what's actually occurring. Yeah, that's when it started to happen and it progressed. But my shelf fully broke, to answer Chad Gardner's question. It broke in 2020. Yeah, I've not been doing this long. This channel isn't even a year old yet, which is why I'm so excited that we're at 5,000 subscribers. Thank you all very much. Like I said in my rambling 10-minute video the other day, I wasn't expecting to reach 5,000 subscribers, really. Certainly not this quickly. I didn't think anyone would actually be that interested in what I had to say. So, it's always nice to be appreciated. So what broke my shelf? There's a series of things. I talk about it in my interview with John DeLynn that I did, but essentially discovering... one of the big ones is actually 6,000-year-old Earth. And things around that, how science and the church interact. Reading the book Sapiens, things like that. It all started to really kind of... That was a bit of a crunch time. Which of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Beatles do you think you most look like with that fab mustache? I would not dare compare myself to any of the Beatles. So I don't know. You tell me. Tell me in the chat which of the Beatles from Sgt. Pepper era I look most like. My dad is from Liverpool though, so there's some of that Beatles heritage in me, I suppose. Someone's saying that RFM is well built to emotionally handle ad hominem. Yeah, I get it, Mark. I'm weak. I get it. Of course, he's a lawyer. He goes into that mode, and I'm sure it just bounces off him. But I don't have... I find ad hominem uncomfortable on an intellectual kind of level. I find it makes me squirm, and so yeah. I can hear it, and I can kind of I can push through it. I can see through it, and I can dismiss it as ad hominem as such. But yeah, it makes me uncomfortable. I think for good reason. Someone's saying, "Are you and other BritVengers going to continue to do videos together regularly? That content is so good." Well, you're asking for it, so yeah, we'll get the BritVengers together. When the need arises, when the signal goes up in the sky and we need to deal with something of a British nature. But to allude to something I'm working on, I'm in talks with a lot of European podcasters. There's a lot of Europeans out there in languages other than English who are dealing a lot with kind of the same things that we are in the Anglosphere. So there may be a bit of a European project coming up too, where I get them all together and we kind of have a good chat about what's going on in the non-English speaking world. So look out for that. I'm just going to take a point here to say that this mustache is not just a fashion statement. I am taking part in Movember this month, and so if any of you were going to be generous and throw a super chat my way at some point, then know that if you do, that will be donated to Prostate Cancer UK this month. So be as generous as you like, because it's not going to my coffers, it's going to charity. What else have we got here? So I was asking, has your outlook on the world and life changed as a result of your discovery of the truth about the church? Yeah, I don't trust anyone anymore. I've become more kind of skeptical. I've become I've become more cynical, some might say. But that's I suppose a natural result of realizing you were lied to for a long time. You tend to want to make sure that you're understanding things correctly rather than just taking people at their word. Sorry, I just got distracted because Priesthood Dispatches is telling me that my mustache is an amazing third eyebrow. Because my eyebrows are of a similar shape and almost length, I think he's right. So there you go. There's some more love for my mustache. Which instruments do you play? Who says I play any? I'm curious, actually, where did this question come from? Extreme Erin, please pop it in the comments. I do play some instruments, actually. I play the double bass. I play the guitar. I play a lot of stringed instruments. I've played in folk bands for a long time as a kind of teenager. The piece of music at the end of my videos is actually me playing, and so I that gets me around kind of all sorts of legal issues with using someone else's music. So I wrote a quick piece and put it at the end of the videos instead. Someone's saying I'm GA material for sure now. Doug, I'm not sure what you mean. I'm not sure. Is that in reference to the fact that I'm able just to answer the question I think you ought to have asked? Maybe. But there's a lot of questions here. I kind of want to dive through. How has life changed as a social media superstar? How do you cope? I'm not a social media superstar. That's how I cope. I'm just not. There's, this is a very niche thing that I talk about. And it seems like the whole world to us, but it's not. 5,000 subscribers, while I'm thrilled about it, is still a relatively small channel on YouTube. So I wouldn't ever use the word superstar to describe myself in any way. So there's not really a lot of coping to do. I have a full-time job, so there's some juggling of schedule and things, trying to make sure that I bring you regular content. And you saw my last video as a result of me just feeling like I had to make something, so I just did it anyway. But rest assured that in the coming weeks, we're going to go back to factual Nemo content, fact-checking things. The lies of Dallin H. Oakes is coming up very soon after he told that whopper at University of Virginia. He told that whopper about electroshock therapy, so that's going to form part of the video where I discuss the lies he's told as my ongoing series of exposing the lies of general authorities. Someone said, did you do speech or drama in secondary school? In British secondary schools, we do drama generally, I think, up until we get to our GCSEs, when we start to decide what we're going to do more focused. I enjoy drama. I was in school plays, things like that. I've taken part in church musical productions and things. That's my kind of background on that. Okay, deep question. Marius Klaassen. Where are you from, Marius? That's an interesting surname. I'm guessing Scandinavia somewhere. So what motivates and drives you to do all you do? If you know the Mormon church is false and based on lies, why waste your precious time on said church? I think I've said it before, but I'll repeat it because it is a great question. For me, it's about making sure that as I run out of the burning building that is the church that is dying and disappearing and is kind of falling left, right, and center as they continue to try and obfuscate and lie, and people continue to reveal the truth. I feel it's my responsibility to warn people, kind of as I get out of the burning building. New Name Noah said something to a similar effect. It's the idea that, I don't think anyone else should ever be uninformed in the church. Informed consent matters. And so this is why I share factual information for the most part. So people can take that information, they can do with it what they want, they can stay if they like, they can leave if they like, but ultimately they're informed. So that's why I do it. I hope that answers your question, but if it doesn't, unlike Keith Erickson, I'm not going to say, I'm just going to move on. If I didn't answer your question, pop it in the comments and I'll try and clarify a bit more. Someone said, what do you do most often with any free time not taken up by former church activities? This is what I do now. I play my guitar when I get the chance. That's what I'll sit or I'll read. I quite like reading books. I try and read non-church books when I can, just to, so the book on my shelf at the moment, the book I'm reading that's kind of on my bedside table is The Shortest History of England, which is a really good kind of overview of the history of this island that I call home. We've got mixed reviews about the Beatles. John Booker reckons I'm George Harrison. I'm getting some shouts from Doug Vincent that I'm John Lennon. Scott Brandon agrees. I think it's the round glasses, though. I think I'll have to take those off. Yeah, so keep those Beatles questions coming. And we have Mr. Wraithman Blues, $5 from his prostate, apparently. So, yeah, thanks for that. Thank you very much for that donation. That will go to Prostate Cancer UK. Thank you. I'm having a look through questions. Wow, you guys are really throwing them out there. Have you come to be so logical? Okay, how have you come to be so logical? You're clearly a super intelligent guy, but you're so calculated and measured. Were you just made for this? I after this stops rolling, I cry in a corner for about 5 minutes. That's how I cope. I don't know. I don't view myself that way. The way you frame that question, I don't see myself like that. I often see myself as one of the less intelligent people in the room, and I'm always looking to learn from other people in the room and hear what they have to say, because I'm aware, particularly with my age, I'm aware that I'm one of the younger people in this space. I have a lot less lived experience in the church than a lot of people, so I'm always looking to kind of learn from them. Someone's saying, don't most Europeans speak English, especially younger generations? Yes, they do. So English will be a lingua franca for those of us who are going to be participating in that discussion. But I speak some European languages, so I'm going to try my best to make them feel at home. But ultimately, yeah, the conversation will be had in English, sure. Just, it will help. We've got someone asking, have I picked out my first tattoo? No, I haven't. My brothers are covered in tattoos. I haven't. The tattoos aren't of interest to me, really. Someone's asking if I played the ukulele. That's where I started many years ago. This has become about my music, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. But cool, you can literally ask me anything. So yeah, everyone starts with ukulele, right? Or a lot of people do, because it's simple chord shapes, 4 strings rather than 6, an easy place to start. Someone's asking, who is my favourite post-Mo or nuanced Mo podcaster personality? RFM, John DeLynn, John Larson, Peter Bleakley, PD. That is an unfair question. Who is my favourite? I'm not American, so I can't even plead the Fifth Amendment. I don't know. I can't really pick a favourite. And I'm not a big enough narcissist to say that I'm my own favourite, so they all fulfill different things, and that sounds like such a cop-out, but they do. Peter Bleakley, if I've got a spare 3 hours, I'll listen to his content because it is brilliant. If I just want to hear people's lived experiences from where I'm from, I'll listen to 21st Century Saints. If I want a good laugh, I'll listen to PD. John DeLynn, if I want to hear, just well-produced stuff regarding, historical discussions with Mormons or anything like that, if I just want to kind of throw myself at something, he's a great place to go. Not too familiar with John Larson, to my shame. Apparently, it must be to my shame. So people feel free to recommend John Larson videos to me, or podcasts, whichever he does. Someone's saying, would you ever collaborate with Bill Reel or RFM? So I have. I went on their show Mormonism Live a little while ago, and they are. And I'm going to put this out on the air so that they can't worm out of it, but they have agreed to it already. They are going to be joining me as co-hosts for an episode of Mormon Meme Review. So me, RFM, and Bill Reel are going to go through some Mormon memes. So that's coming up when I can kind of nail them down to a time. They've been busy recently, but hopefully that'll come up soon. There's just so much I need to do, and I have literally no time to do it. So yeah, it's an exciting time to watch this channel if you're patient, because they come in weekly increments. Someone says, I speak English but prefer to speak my home language to my own people. Okay, what language is that, if you're happy to say? I'd be really interested to see if I can speak any. Any thoughts on Dr. Jordan Peterson, the philosopher psychologist? I just discovered him. I've been living under a rock for the past. I have thoughts. He is. He was part of some of the stuff I read as my shelf was breaking. It was very interesting for me to view the Bible in a non-literal way, which is how his 12 Rules for Life, or particularly his biblical lectures series on Genesis, he views the Bible in a non-literal way, and that helped me transition out of absolutist literalist thinking in regards to scripture. So that was really useful for me. And his book 12 Rules for Life, it's got some fairly sound advice in it, as far as I can tell, but I could get cancelled because apparently I could be wrong. I don't know. I found it fairly useful. So those are my thoughts on him. Someone's saying that they caught a Nemo live stream. Yeah, rock on. Thank you for joining. What else have we got? Jonathan Tharp asking, why are you called Nemo? It's Latin for no one, because despite what this live stream might suggest, this channel isn't actually about me. And so I was very nervous about doing this live stream because I thought people come to my channel because they want factual content about the church. They don't want to just sit and chat to me for like 45 minutes, an hour, something like that. They don't want to do that. No one's going to turn up. So, I was a bit nervous about that. But you guys, all of you that are here, I'm really happy to be chatting to you all. So keep the questions coming. Someone's saying, FYI, I don't have Super Chat here in the US. Not a problem. Don't worry about it. There's a link in the description, so if you want to donate directly to prostate cancer rather than trusting me with your money because I look like this, so why would you? Then you can donate directly to Prostate Cancer UK, because I'm not going to force myself as the go-between between you and your charitable endeavours. You can just go straight to them. Someone saying, hey brother Nemo, we'd like to ask you what your favourite primary song is. Is it the one that indoctrinated me to follow the prophet, or is it Book of Mormon Stories? It's my favourite primary song. Because they unsolicited, they just pop into my head from time to time. I think Book of Mormon Stories, that really cool, like, minor, that little rocking minor chord set, dum 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 dum, really quite cool, musically speaking. I quite like that. Although the use of the use of minor chords in Follow the Prophet is far more sinister. On the phrase "don't go astray," there's that weird little minor progression which is deeply uncomfortable now thinking about it. Someone's saying, how young am I? I'm as young as I feel. I'm in my early 20s. How about that? I'm the same age as Kwaku. Put it that way. Me and Kwaku are the same age. What else have we got? Someone saying their fish pie was delicious. Wonderful. Man, I need to catch up. I'm far behind. Klassen. Okay, that makes sense. They said, thank you, Nemo. I'm from South Africa. Follow-up question. After your experience in the Mormon church, have you become or are agnostic and atheist? Oh, I think we're all agnostic in the sense that we don't know. I very much am in that camp now of realizing that I can't actually know. I can believe, I can have faith in, but all that time I spent as a Mormon saying I know something, nah, nah. I no, I can't say that I know things with surety in the same way that I used to say it as a Mormon. It just doesn't work. So in that sense, yeah, I'm agnostic. The atheist question I haven't really thought about too much. I've been too busy doing all this, so yeah, I haven't really thought about that one. But thank you. That makes perfect sense regarding your surname now. Someone is saying, what else have we got? Someone said, your wife, how many wives have you got? Just one. If you look in the about section on my channel, you'll see that I explain who I am and what I do, and then it says at the end, P.S. If you're from the Strengthening Church Members Committee, please know that one wife is more than enough for me. And as Elder Holland said that your primary purpose is to guard against polygamists, don't worry about me. So that's in my channel bio. You'll also notice if you go on my channel, it says at the top, Nemo the Mormon Strengthening Church Members Committee approved, because clearly they take an interest. So yeah, that's how many wives I have, just the one. Someone saying I'd like John Larson. I'm sure I would. Have you tried reaching out to Orthodox Mormons, Saints of Scripted, Midnight Mormons, and dialogue with them? Yes, I reached out to Saints of Scripted. I reached out with an offer to be their resident, or not resident, but even just a guest, their guest cynic. I reached out to provide a non-confrontational and non-detailed counterpoint. I wanted to be on their show to humanize people in my position primarily, just to. I wouldn't dare say I represent this community. That's not what I'm saying. But to be a face of the person that's so often demonized as a doubter, or or someone that's lazy, or someone that's lax, or these sorts of things. I wanted to be I wanted to be a face to that, just to humanize the discussion a bit. That's what I kind of reached out to them about, and the answer was no. Funnily enough. And they spent more time kind of quizzing me on my credentials and my testimony than just looking at what I was actually offering. So I have tried reaching out to them, but that was, yeah. TP is saying, I'm not interested in what you say. I just like your headphones. Thank you. They are SteelSeries Arctis 3 headphones. If you want to buy your own set, feel free. I'm not sponsored. It's not a product placement. I like them because they're comfortable. But, you go out there and get some if you like. Those are my headphones. Mormon Civil War is here. And Peter Bleakley has come in and decided that he is going to ask me a difficult question. Thank you. What 5 things could the LDS Church do to convince you to continue being an active member and raise your children in it with enthusiasm? Oh, difficult. What 5 things? They could be more transparent. They could be more. So they could be more transparent. They could be more directly honest. They could be far less demanding of orthodoxy. So far less. They would have to require orthodoxy far less of their members, because I wouldn't want my children to feel as though they have to believe certain things in order to remain part of a social group, because I think that creates problematic pressure on their intellectual development. It's 3, isn't it? They'd have to keep attracting quite nice people, because Mormons in Britain, from my experience, there are some gems, people, just like there are everywhere. But I worry that if we end up going down this hyper-Orthodox route, then you're going to lose those loving people and those very Christian people to those who are just very good at following the rules and doing what, and giving the appearance of piety and all that sort of stuff, right? So that's 4. They'd need to keep being good people at a local level. And I think on that frame, then they'd probably have to give more power to local leaders over what goes on. because then I think it'd be a completely different place. So essentially, it would have to be 5 things where the church becomes something that it currently isn't. It'd have to change quite a lot for me to continue being an active member and raise my children in it with enthusiasm. Yeah, that would be that. What do we got? Someone said, you've interviewed Joseph Smith. Who's next? Who do you want next? Tell me. I'm thinking Brigham Young, but a slightly different interview where he asks what the state of the church is like now, and then we kind of discuss, how it differs from what he taught, things like that. Because the Joseph Smith interview, while I thought it was pretty funny and a lot of you found it hysterical, there was something to it in terms of trying to uncover some of the factual things about Joseph's view of the church and how that differs to the church now. I wanted to really shine a spotlight on the difference between Joseph Smith's experience of the church and our experience of the church. I may have not done that successfully. I might have scuppered that, but that was kind of the intention, was to still try and keep it informative and factual, even if we did it in a more humorous sort of way. And I have to thank Jonathan Streeter for being such a willing participant and being such a good Joseph Smith. So he can practice his Brigham Young, and you can all bother him and make him come back and do some more. What else we got? Someone said, just got here, Brandon. Do you think you will be excommunicated? Yeah, probably. I don't know. My bishop's a nice guy. He doesn't want to. My state president is currently chatting to the area authorities and whatever. I'm waiting for feedback on that. My opposition still stands to local leaders because my issues have not been adequately addressed in any sense. And we've got to a point where my leaders sort of agree with me but can't then take it to its logical conclusion. So it's quite a difficult situation for them and me. So, I feel for them being in this position, but it's likely. Yeah. We have Mormon neurodivergence. Aloha, I enjoy your channel and hope you and the BRITVENGERS will do well in your endeavours. I hope so too. Mormon neurodivergence. Interesting name there. I assume this is a YouTube channel where you talk about Mormon neurodivergence, the neurodivergence of Mormonism. I'll just keep saying the words so I sound clever. But yeah, I'll have a look at your channel. That looks quite intriguing. Someone says, you're my favourite Brit. Thank you. Of all British people, or just like of the kind of commentators? Like, I mean, there's a lot of us British people. Do I have plans to expand the channel? In what sense? How would you like to see it expand? If this continues to do well, then yes, I will continue to try and improve it while balancing the fact that I have a full-time, quite demanding job and things like that. But yeah, I will continue to try and build it. It may come a time where I farm off my thumbnails to someone else to make, for example. I start doing things like that. This is my first giveaway. I've started adding merch and things. There's merch now available in the link. So yeah, I'm trying to build it, but at the same time, I like how organic it kind of is. Someone's saying, has all this YouTube money gone to your head? No. What money? I don't earn that much from YouTube, and all it serves to do is buy kit for the channel. So my laptop's far away from me. I now have a keyboard that I can use. So, I bought that. I bought a more reliable capture card, things like that. That's all it goes to. I'm not getting rich by any stretch of the imagination. There's stuff going on here. Someone said, Nemo, love your work. Have you ever been a listener to the Infants on Thrones podcast? No, I have. I've heard of it. I haven't listened to it. And again, this is where I talked about earlier that I'm new to this and I'm young in this space. There's a lot of people like, when I was listening to this podcast, that podcast, all this sort of stuff, they had all these experiences that I just haven't kind of had. So no, I've not really listened to it. Someone said, At the current rate, you'll be at 10k subs in 4 months. Can we ask Daniel anything? I mean, you can speak to him all you like, but he is a stuffed horse, so you might struggle to get anything meaningful back out of him. So, yeah, I don't know what I'd do if I got to 10k. I think I'd faint, frankly. But it would be cool to get to 10k. It'd be another nice milestone, and we'd do something like this or something more significant. I don't know. We'd do something. It'd be good fun because you guys are all great fun. I'm just enjoying chatting to you all. There's some good conversations going on in the comments. It's nice. Someone said, I'd like you to interview Community of Christ Prophet President Steve Veazey. I'm not really much of an interviewer. I suppose when I spoke earlier about this new format, I'm not sure whether... I mean, Community of Christ would be cool, right? Actually, that's a fair point. If I got someone from Community of Christ like Steve Veazey to say, right, okay, so what's your experience of Brighamite Mormons? That'd be cool. Yeah, why not? Do you know how I could get in contact with him? Nemo the Mormon at gmail.com. Drop me any contact details you may have, anyone that's listening, and I'll see if I can interview Steve Veazey. That's cool. Yeah. Do I know anyone who's had the second anointing in the UK? Personally, I do now. Yes, I do actually. Yeah, I was about to say no, I don't, but I do. Yeah, I do. I wonder whether it's more common than we maybe think, because it's this big uber secret thing, and whether we think, not many people get it, but actually, yeah, probably we get quite a few people. So, someone's saying interview Bruce McConkie or Spencer Kimball. Right, so in the Jonathan Streeter esque thing. Yeah, could be. I mean, the thing with Bruce McConkie and Spencer W. Kimball is I can take their recorded audio and video and analyze it and take it apart. One of the reasons I went for Joseph Smith and did the whole thing with Jonathan Streeter about like the 3D face render and stuff was because visually you don't get any of that with discussing what happened with Joseph Smith. Normally it's just quotes from books and paper. So they might be a bit further down the list for that reason. Someone's saying, if you're excommunicated, they lose 33% of their attendance. I'm not sure I have that much sway, if I'm honest. Richard Cook has just donated essentially $5. $5 to Prostate Cancer UK. Thank you very much. I'm sure they'll... I've reached out to them. I tried to get like a customized link so I could track all the donations going through the link in the description, but they haven't got back to me. November is a very busy time for them. But yes, they... they're busy trying to do some good work, so I don't blame them. But thank you very much for your donation. I'm not sure members are going to be that miffed if I get excommunicated. A lot of them probably see me as someone that deserves to be excommunicated, so yeah, it's probably not. It's probably not going to bother them that much. Someone's saying, yes, you're my favourite of all Brits, and I can see you becoming the British John DeLynn. Okay, cool. Let's make it happen then, I guess. John is, I don't know, I think John's above my level probably, so I'm not sure I'd get there. But, I'm enjoying being a voice for the British people in that sense and helping other British voices come up. It's one of the reasons this giveaway involves you having to subscribe to all the other BRITVENGERS, right? Because we've got to share the love. There are British voices out there that need to be heard in what has, in my opinion, for far too long been an American-dominated space. Primarily because the church, obviously, is a very American church. But, there is a big history that three apostles just droned on and on and on about for 4 or 5 hours to us all. There is a history of Brits in the church since near the very beginning. So we are a part of this and we need to have our voice heard. Someone's asking if I could please add horses to my merch. Okay, I'll try. It'd be a bit more difficult. The beauty of Redbubble is that they hold all the stock and everything. They just stick my design on when someone orders it. Cool. But if I had to start buying horses and then like customizing in some way, like the Union flag thing, which I'll try and put on this horse before it gets sent out to the lucky winner. I'm going to try and jazz him up a little bit. But yes, I at some point, yes, horses will become part of the merch, I would hope. Someone saying, do you speak Farsi? Like the language from Persia? Is that? Or are you trying to say Pharisee? Which would be like Hebrew? Neither is the answer. Neither of those things. I don't speak any. What else have we got? TP, some of your questions are blinders, right? Would I consider collaborating with Nigel Farage? I'm not sure what he'd have to do with Mormonism, so probably not. What we got? What else we got? Collab between Nemo and PD to write a new comedy primary song. Okay. Sure, I give up at that point. Yeah, sure. We'll write a comedy primary song. PD, I'll let you take the lead on that. Okay, typical interview question. Where do you see yourself and this channel in 5 years? Does this channel have the longevity for 5 years? Maybe. I've already noticed a shift just within 1 year of going from just attacking a lot of the issues, or not attacking, shouldn't use that word because it makes me sound aggressive, but, you know, really dealing with these issues and with really dealing with them and talking a lot about a lot of the common issues, Book of Abraham, Joseph Smith, polygamy, all that sort of stuff, to now I've done that. And if it comes up in any sort of unique way, I'll look at it again. But I've hit the core issues, and now it's already expanding and changing. So it really depends, I think, on can I still call myself Nemo the Mormon in 5 years' time, or am I going to have to like scrawl in artistically one of the like ex-Mormon thing? Probably not. I'll still call myself Mormon anyway because it'll annoy the powers that be. So. Yeah, where do I see myself in 5 years? Wherever the road takes me. I'm just kind of letting the journey happen. Someone's saying... how can we best support you so you can put out content full time? Great question, Richard. I'm going to be launching channel memberships soon. I've not finalised it yet because I'm in that difficult space where I want to make sure that whatever I offer, because I don't want to take anything away from anyone that just wants to watch my stuff. They can, watch whatever they want of my stuff. I don't want to take anything away from those people. But what I do want to do is offer more to those who maybe want to pay for it. A lot of people have asked me to start Patreon, that sort of thing. I am going to start channel memberships, but I want to make sure that whatever I do, I can definitely deliver because I hold myself to quite a high standard in terms of making sure that I deliver good content for yourselves. I know you probably don't believe me after watching my last video, but I'm trying, okay? I'm trying. What have we got? Thank you very much, Richard. Thank you. What is this? Paul Hadlow. I'd like you to interview Matthew Gill, Prophet President of the Derbyshire-based Latter-day Church of Jesus Christ. Oh, the Book of Jaranek. Okay, a history of the ancient Britons. I didn't know about any of this. So, yeah, okay. Paul, you've got my email address, nemothemormon@gmail.com. Drop me an email because otherwise I'll forget about this. But yeah, okay, right, we'll have a look at that. That's fascinating. Man, there's so many of you. What are your thoughts on Oak saying he never had electroshock therapy during his tenure? He's lying through his teeth. And I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked by how brazenly they just lie. That's what they do. They just like to lie. So, no. They don't like to lie, but they feel it necessary to protect the good name of the church. I think is a more accurate way of looking at it. So, yeah, he's lying. Simple as that. and I'm putting together the evidence as we speak. And a lot of other people already have, so I'm going to be borrowing from that, essentially. A lot of people have already done a lot of the research, so I'm going to pull the primary sources from their research and kind of collate it together. And, a lot of what I do on this channel is based off the good work of a lot of other people who address these issues and research and things. And all I do, I kind of go down those rabbit holes, find the primary sources, and then bring them in so that we can get kind of a direct link in. So we can shed a light on these things. PD just keeps saying Pojazzle. If you haven't watched my interview with Priesthood Dispatches, then we coined a phrase, Pojazzle. In the common phrase, you can't polish a turd, but you can cover it in glitter. Well, a Pojazzle is covering a turd in glitter. So for that level of intellectual content, go check out my interview with Priesthood Dispatches. That's the level we got to in that interview. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it. Someone asked earlier how you feel about Jordan Peterson. I was hoping you'd see that question so I can also hear the answer. I kind of answered it already. He was a really great stop-off point for my to take me out of literal thinking around the church and around the nature of the Bible. So that's what I kind of think about him. Yeah, that's where I'm at with him. Wow, you guys. How do I balance working full-time and researching church history? Can I say that I don't balance it? It kind of all just happens to me and I panic and flail and something comes out the end. That's where I'm at with it. But I do it because I think it's important. That's why I do it. So yeah, that's how I balance it, by just working hard, I guess. Someone saying they love day nights. Cool. A lot of love for day nights. Have I looked into fact-checking the church's track record on mental health through the decades? No, I mean, fact-checking for me is very much someone says something and I say, that doesn't sound like it's true, so I'm going to find out if it is or not. And sometimes I'll be in the middle of researching a video, and I'll be like, that doesn't sound true, I'm going to find evidence that it isn't, and I can't find any because it is actually true, so I just leave it. Yeah, you guys don't see the times when I'm looking into a claim by an apostle that sounds so dodgy. I'm like, that can't be right, but I can't find evidence to suggest that it isn't. And so I'm not just going to throw it out there and say they're lying because, I can't find the evidence. So I leave it. But I don't necessarily fact check, like, I don't necessarily collate the history of the church's stance on a thing. It's interesting, their stance on the thing, and if they say that they've always held a certain stance and it's demonstrably false because you look back at their previous stances and they haven't, then yes, in that sense I would look at it. So if there's a statement, Mormon neurodivergence, that you know of where they've said, oh, we've always taken mental health seriously, for example, or something like that maybe doesn't sound like it's true, then I can look at it. Sure. Sorry, this silence is awkward for you guys, I suppose. Oh, hello. I've caught up. Which is nice. Someone's just telling me to go 3D. Do you guys want to see this in 3D? How could you better support me? Buy me a 3D camera then, I suppose. Someone send me a 3D camera and it'll be in 3D. Someone's asking, will my wife ever join me on an episode to share her story? Probably not, is the honest answer. Yeah, for to be fair to my wife, I probably won't say much more about that. But you're not likely to see her on the channel. What else have we got? Someone saying no 3D. Cool. We've got a discussion here about the that branch that started in the UK. So the true church is here in Britain, according to these folks in Derbyshire. That's fascinating. That's really cracking. PD said, taking my phone back off the kids now. Apologies. Right. Okay, so it wasn't you, PD, that was writing that. Got it. So saying, is your extended family members? Yep. I've got a lot of extended family who are members of the church. So, yeah, I call some waves. Let's say that, shall we? Ooh, this is good. What issues or topics do you find most satisfying or meaningful to discuss? Honesty. I find it really important that we discuss the importance of honesty, both honesty with ourselves and honesty with others. I find that really kind of meaningful, and it's one of the reasons I'm so hard on church leaders for being dishonest, because you can make mistakes, you can get things wrong, you can be flawed, and that's fine. But there's no need as a leader of a church in that position of responsibility to lie to people. And that's not to say to be misinformed, because to be misinformed is one thing. And that's why, again, we're talking about the system I go through where I'm like narrowing down what I'm actually going to talk about. There are times when church leaders are simply misinformed. And that's okay. They should be better informed. They speak for God. So really they shouldn't be misinformed. But that's the sort of thing you can say, well, okay, maybe they're misinformed. Particularly on like some sort of temporal matter rather than something spiritual. But to lie by the church's own standards, meaning to lead someone to believe something that is not true, is unacceptable to me. So truth is, truth is where it's at. Someone's saying, if Nemo had 10k subscribers and we all gave him 100 quid, he'd be a millionaire. Good maths, please don't do that. If you have a spare £100, give it to charity. Okay, I'll take small donations from people. I'll take donations for my channel. That's fine. I'm not saying that I don't appreciate money to help improve the quality of the channel. But yeah, I don't need to become a millionaire, so don't do that. What would I do with $100 billion? Well, haven't the WHO just told Elon Musk that with 6 they could deal with world hunger? So let's start there. Sorry, that cough's still not quite gone. What would I do with that kind of money? Yeah, I'd live comfortably. Sure. I wouldn't be like the Dalai Lama or a monk of some kind. You know, I'd live comfortably. I'd make sure my life's comfortable and that I don't need for anything, and so I can focus my time on helping and doing meaningful things. So that's what I do with $100 billion. Yeah, I'd do more than the church is doing charitably, which is why I can confidently say they ought to be doing more, because I feel like if I was in that position, that's what I'd be doing, because that's what part of my Mormon upbringing taught me to do. And that's the weird thing, is that my Mormon upbringing taught me to be charitable and want to help others. And then you realize the church has got all this money and they're not acting in the way that they taught you to act. So it's just bizarre. What other questions have I got? Sorry. Yeah, you guys are going. Someone says, second anointing is very common. Everyone's had it but you. Yeah, probably. And that was a smart decision, because I'd be telling everyone about it otherwise. Someone's saying, how do you feel about the lack of talk about Heavenly Mother? How do you feel about your Heavenly Mother? I'm going to answer the first part of the question. How do you feel about the lack of talk about Heavenly Mother? I think it's a bit cowardly. If we've got that as part of our theology, we either need to say it's no longer part of our theology and dismiss it, or we need to address it. This idea that we have some things that we are reserved for certain... It's like we have our theology and that should just be open to all members. We should just be able to talk about it. That's it. There shouldn't be... I don't like this idea that there's some parts of our theology that are exclusive for some people and we only talk about certain situations, because it just creates social imbalance within the church amongst people. Like the second anointing does the same thing. You've got this secret club of people that know they're getting to heaven. and they then feel superior to others, and it's not good. So I don't feel good about the lack of talk about Heavenly Mother. If it's part of our theology, we should be discussing it. Yeah, Erickson said in his addresses, that the leaders know all the thorny issues, so they have no excuse. You're right, they know them all. Why aren't they giving us answers? If they know them all, as Erickson says, then why aren't they talking about it? Why not? What other questions we got? Someone's saying, I think an interesting topic could be famous dead people who have been baptized. I've heard rumors they did for Hitler and also for Muhammad the Prophet. Huh. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Bit of a strange one, really. The idea that you can kind of just invite people to Mormonism post-mortem sort of thing is a bit of a strange one to me. Yeah, I'm not sure what it would contribute to the overall discussion, but it could be interesting, certainly. And if I get stuck for content, it might just be one that turns up one week. Hey guys, did you know that Anne Frank has been baptized? That's because she has, and a lot of Holocaust victims have, and the church has had to apologize for doing that. But cheers for the idea, Sam. Thank you. What are some helpful books regarding critical thinking? Oh, yes. The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt is a go-to for me. Helps me understand that other people kind of think that good people disagree on things like religion and politics. And it's not about the other side being bad or wrong necessarily. It's that they can sometimes intrinsically feel differently about something. And so you can't you can't convince someone by logic to stop feeling that a certain thing is true or not true. He talks about the elephant and the rider, that that our gut feelings, our intuition is like an elephant, and you've got a rider on top who kind of tries to control things but can't really, and that rider is the logical part of our brain. Anyway, read the book. Read the book. It's very good. And so one of the things he talks about, I'll just explain real quickly. He talks about conservatives and liberals. Small c conservatives, small c liberals talk. They both are interested in fairness. One group is interested in the fairness of the outcome. One group is interested in the fairness of the opportunities. So they both care about things being fair. They just view it differently, right? And so once you realize that they both care about fairness, you can have a meaningful discussion about fairness, rather than thinking that the other side are heartless and don't care. That's a great book. Start with that one. That would be my go-to. So I'm asking, am I available for a beer, J2O, Coke, whatever, in one of the wonderful pubs of Oxford anytime? I'm going to be at Thrive in Bristol in January, I believe. So I'll be there. I'd love to go over to America sometime. Although Geraldo Martinez, I'm not sure. Or Geraldo. No, I could be butchering that. Wherever you're from. I do try and kind of get to see people. But yeah, it's usually at big kind of get-togethers and things. So yeah, maybe find me there. What have we got here? Nemo, would you prefer no church or the church that exists now? Oh, tough question. I mean, let me be Weasley about this and just say that if by church you mean just their church and all its constituent members just vanish, then no, I wouldn't want that to disappear. But the current church leadership, I'd prefer them to not have them than have them, certainly, because they're just, with the exception of a couple, they're just generally not interested in us. They say they are, but their actions don't determine that they are. But the people that have the church now, the grassroots members, they need their community still, and I don't want to rip that away from them just because the leadership and the truth claims of it are problematic. I wouldn't want to take that community away from folks. So that's why I'm not necessarily trying to destroy it, because it's important to some people still. And a follow-up question to that, I suppose. All organizations can do better, but is the church a force for good in the world? I guess, are you asking, like, is it a net good? Like, the fact that it does bad things, does the amount of good it does overwhelm that? I'd say no, because the amount of good they do in terms of the charitable work doesn't make up for the amount of harm they do to certain communities that they ostracize. I think is the simplest way to kind of put that. You could say, well, they put a strong focus on the nuclear family. Nemo, you're missing that. But the nuclear family isn't good for everyone. If there's a overbearing need for the family to remain nuclear, despite one member of that family being abusive, does more harm than good, for example. So, yeah, I think that I don't think it's a net good at the moment, even though it is good for some people. I think given its size and its level of influence, it should be doing a lot more good than it does. I personally think, but please disagree if you do. Who's my favorite philosopher? Don't really have one. Don't really have a favorite philosopher. So I'm saying, if I want to go to America, I can stay at their house. Yes, that will make it slightly cheaper, which would be wonderful. Someone very kindly offered to pay for, or at least kind of pay for a lot of my flights to Thrive in November this year. And had I not had kind of clinical commitments, I would have taken them up on it. But the thing is, because I work full time, I can't just kind of disappear for a week to Utah at the drop of a hat. So I will try and plan better next time, and realize that actually there's quite a lot of generosity out there that could help me to go and get involved. This looks like a really interesting question. And start to tell me in the chat if you get bored at any point, and we'll just wrap this up, because I'm aware I could waffle on for hours. This person's asking, what advice do you have for PMOs who desperately want to be free, but would cause too much damage to friends, family coming out in terms of church? What advice do I have for them? Be kind to yourself. It sounds so airy-fairy and non-substantive, but do be kind to yourself. Realize that you're in a difficult situation. Acknowledge that the situation you find yourself in is not ideal. And I know I personally would beat myself up feeling as though I wasn't being honest with myself by remaining in without being open about the fact that I disagree. But you have to be kind to yourself in understanding that the situation isn't ideal. I'd find someone you can talk to. There are groups and communities online where you can remain anonymous and talk to people. I think talking is really important. So if you need to talk to someone about what's going on, sod what President Nelson says about not rehearsing your doubts with other doubters. Like, that's just an attempt to try and isolate those who are in this position here. Like, reach out to people, talk to people who have gone through the same experience. That doesn't mean you should then just latch on to their ideas and kind of become ideologically possessed as sort of their ideology now regarding the church. But there are people out there who will just listen to you. So reach out to those people. That would be my advice. Nemo, when are you going to take one more? Oh, I'm behind, right? Yes, Anne was complaining I wasn't taking all these questions. But I got to you, bud. I got to you. Don't worry. Okay, I'm going to try and skip ahead a bit because I'm missing out. Someone says, no, I'm not bored. Yes. When will we get another Mormon meme review? Well, yeah, sorry. We'll get one with John DeLynn. Not with John DeLynn, we've already had one with him. We'll get one with Bill Reel and RFM. How's that sound? We'll make that work. I know in the UK we don't talk about politics. What are your political leanings? No, we don't. See you in a bit. Uh, sorry, but I'm not going to talk about politics. Someone said to judge. Okay, Mormon Civil War. To judge the church's net good or bad at the moment in the UK, 85% of its members have concluded that it's net bad and left. 20% of the money they stole from the poor has been given to the poor. Yeah. If you watch my recent episode with Chris Mace, we talk a lot about the the problems with the church's finances. Someone commented on there and said, I thought this could be a video about the church, and then I realized it was just two typical apostates. It's like, well, I'm sorry if a detailed analysis of the church's financial statement to the Charities Commission is deemed nothing to do with the church. Sorry about that. It shouldn't matter what our position is within the church. If we're analysing their finances, give it a listen. It's clearly about the church. So stop being so judgmental, people. Yeah. It is a cop-out, Raldo, about politics, but you're still not getting anything on that one. Don't get into politics. Yeah, there you go. Someone said, I drew a Mormon comic if you need meme review material. Absolutely. Send it to nemotheremormon@gmail.com and I'll have a look. I'm always interested in having a look at this sort of stuff. So, a friend recently echoed the idea of I don't care if the church is true. I care about whether it's a force for good. And right now it isn't. Exactly. Church doesn't have to be true. It could exist as a completely non-true entity in terms of its truth claims and its foundational claims. Joseph Smith could have made the whole thing up, right? If Joseph Smith's con went wildly out of control and it's ended up with $100 billion, I couldn't care as long as that $100 billion is being used in a Christian way, and it's not. It doesn't matter how it started in that sense, if it's a net good in the world, but it's not. Ooh, if you could change the succession process when the prophet dies, what would you change? I'd put a mandatory retirement age in for general authority. 70 sounds good. They do it for the 70s. They should do it for themselves. I'd put it to a vote. Yeah, sure. I'd put it to a vote because they make the argument, right, that this shouldn't be done by vote. But revelations are decided by unanimous consensus of the quorum of the 12 apostles. And if that doesn't sound like a vote to any of you, look up the meaning of the word vote. So they're voting on this, and the argument would be that they are men who are spiritually inspired, and therefore, if they all come to the same feeling about something, then the Spirit has spoken, and that is God's will. If you give the credit to the quorums of the 70 that maybe they deserve and say they are also spiritually inspired men, then you could say that the quorums of the 70 vote using their feelings to the Spirit to elect the next prophet of the church. That's what you could do. Because if it's good enough to decide revelation, then it's good enough to decide who the prophet is. If it's good enough for hearing God's will on matters of church policy and revelation, it's good enough for hearing God's will on who his mouthpiece should be, I think. Sorry, I've become unable to read for a moment for some reason. If you got an audience with the prophet, what would you ask/tell him? I'd steal a play from Julian Heath's book, and I'd tell him it's okay. It's okay. I get it. I know there's a lot of pressure to. It's a lot of pressure to seem correct all the time and to come across as though you're in charge, strong, and God's with you all the time. But it's okay. Just be yourself. Just relax. That's what I'd say to him. I think, because I think anything else, it'd just cause a massive backfire effect. Nothing else would get through, but maybe a bit of kindness, maybe a bit of an acknowledgement that he's in a very tricky situation that obviously makes him feel like he has to lie. Then, maybe acknowledging that would help him. So I was like, if you can't drive after a certain age, then you shouldn't be leading a church. It's fair. Um, you know, yeah, it's fair. I take what Jane has said on board about ageism, and I don't want to be involved in ageism, saying just because they're so old they can't leave the church, because Gordon B. Hinckley did quite well into his later years. But it shouldn't be a blanket rule for everyone. You shouldn't just work these people until they die. You put a cut-off age on it, and that way that we know that they're just all very likely to be capable. And if they're not capable, take them out earlier. There's almost should be like a standardized fitness test for Mormon prophets. If they can't do a bleep test up to a certain number, then just get rid of them. Yeah, I think so. Why do Mormons claim the Council of Nicaea is so bad? Because they voted when the LDS apostles vote on every... Yeah. The Council of Nicaea is often denigrated because, it was decided by men, but church policy is decided by men all the time. Yeah, they have a correlation committee. The hypocrisy is rampant, and I can't help but notice it. But thank you for pointing that out. Guys, I'm just trying to check if I haven't missed any questions. Nemo, can you do a video reporting the 15's yearly earnings and net worth? I think the latest figures we have linked are from the early 2000s. If there's anything up to date, please let me know. If you guys got information on it, I'll talk about it, but I haven't really been able to find much. But I think it's sufficient to say that they earn money, period, because it completely takes away the argument that we have no paid clergy in the church. You can't call it a living allowance because they're all their other costs are also dealt with, so it's just free money. The percentage of their take-home pay versus the percentage of the take-home pay of your average person, they get a much larger percentage because their housing, their food, their travel, all that's all covered. So it's kind of play money, really. Right, okay, there's more questions. Someone's saying, Nemo, what do you miss, if anything, from active Mormonism? Well, I'm still active in that sense. I still go to church. I still attend Sunday school and things like that. So yeah, I don't really miss anything in that sense. No, we've just covered it. Sorry, I should have read that one before I put it on screen. So I'm saying, do you think Utah Hospital will allow Russell Nelson to perform a heart surgery still? Then why is it... okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Why is it still fine for him to be pontificating on that? It's a good point, because, he constantly... it's not him, it's a lot of other people too, constantly going on about, how brilliant a heart surgeon he was, and his medical accomplishments, yeah, they're significant, but... we can't keep going on about it. Like, someone called him the one true heart surgeon. I think that's a fair analysis of the way he gets spoken about sometimes. Great question. Do you think that critics of the church target the top 15 because there are fewer of them and forget to address the harm that members can do? Certainly the opinion of the members can affect leaders. It's a good question, because I think it's easier to discuss the top 15 because they represent the institutional church, right? They represent the organization of the church, and I'm very much one to go after systems rather than individual people. If individual people within the church have done harm, then they should absolutely be called out for it. It's 100% the case that if a certain state president has done something wrong, then it should be known. But I find it is more difficult to talk about, well, the membership of the church at large do this because they are so different. All around the world, members of the church are so different. You can't really lump them all into one category. Whereas you kind of can categorize the top 15 because they represent, in many ways, a unified position. They do disagree, and they will disagree with each other within the same session of conference often, which is hilarious. But yeah, they represent the unified kind of leadership of the church. Someone's asking a very pertinent, salient question. Why did Laban have to die? And the truth is he didn't. Because Nephi already knew that his people were going to dwindle in unbelief. He'd seen a vision. So when God goes, oh, it's better for one man to perish than a nation to dwindle in unbelief, he's like, but it's going to happen anyway. So why am I killing the man? Great question. 10 points to whatever house you're in. I love the way this one's phrased. Do people in your ward know you're a little bit objective and ostracize you for being different? I've not been ostracized in a sense. I've been welcomed by what is quite a nuanced ward, all told. But yeah, they know I'm different. That's for sure. And there are people that will like get up immediately and testify after me whenever I speak in like a lesson or something, because they feel the need to bring the spirit back in because this heathen's just ruined things. Yeah, that's kind of what goes on there. When will you highlight the modern day Freemason connection to the church? I've already done a video on the fact that Joseph Smith stole the endowment from Masonry, essentially, and been absolutely enraged by the fact the church tries to imply that those two things have nothing to do with one another. Because they use such a straw man. I'm trying to remember the video I did now, but the straw man was essentially to say that they have similarities, but one was not stolen from the other, and in a sense, they muddle the timeline, as Keith Erickson is so wants to talk about all the time, the timelines. But they compress the timeline to such an extent that they make it seem as though, yes, Joseph was a Mason and the endowment came around at the same time, but they forget to mention the fact that he'd gone through all the levels of Masonry, and then after that, the endowment came about. They weren't like concurrent. Go watch the video. Go watch it, because I've just butchered my own argument. Do you bring up the problems when you go to Sunday school? Oh, yes, I do. Yes. Respectfully, I like to think. But yes, I do. I definitely bring them up. So, yeah, they definitely come up. And I am not the only person in the ward that's aware of them. So, we do get some quite good discussions. I remember mentioning the church's $100 billion fund. And this sister came up after me and said, yeah, the church should be doing more with their money. They've got $100 billion. What are they playing at? And I was like, okay, great. So this is the ward I'm in, which is awesome. And I love the fact that when I contribute, I can empower those people in some way, or I can, open the conversation to that in some way for those people to then also say what they say. They may say it without me anyway. I might be giving myself too much credit. Jinsu Chung says, justice for Laban. Absolutely. Justice for Laban indeed. We should all march on Temple Square immediately for justice for the man who was beheaded wrongly. And yes, just didn't even bother to use the plates to translate. Slightly reductive, but the overall narrative is that, yes, Joseph, in a sense, didn't really use the plates to translate. It's not what happened. Yeah, so that's fine. That's fine. We know that even now the church is in January putting out the Liahona with a picture of Joseph looking directly at the plates, so they're still obfuscating about that. So, never going to win, really. They're going to keep doing that. They're just going to keep going through that. Anyone know the age of Joseph or Brigham's youngest child bride? Yeah, I know Joseph's 14. Well, several months shy of her 15th birthday. Yeah, she was 14. Brigham, I don't know. If someone knows, stick it in the comments. That was something really interesting that came up in Keith Erickson's discussion in this latest stream of Firesides. He called her a woman. 14-year-old girl, a woman. Because you have to change the verbiage you use. You have to change the nouns you use to... You have to change the nouns to not make it come across the way that it is that Joseph was taking child brides. Girls under the age of 18. Not women, girls. If you can call Joseph Smith a young boy of 14 years old when he's having the first vision, then why is she referred to as a woman several months shy of her 15th birthday? Massive double standard there. Does anyone know the age of that youngest bride of Brigham's? People Googling furiously. I'll be sure to look out for it in the comments. How many of the membership of your ward do you think know about your channel? Do you have any subscribers from your ward? I turned up in person and someone came up and shook my hand and said hello. It was nice to see me in person, not just on a screen. And I was like, okay, that's cool. That's fine. You know, they've been seeing me on Zoom and whatever. And then a senior missionary came up, stood next to us, and said, you should listen to this guy. He has some really interesting ideas. And I was like, I've never seen this guy in a lesson before. And it turns out he's been watching my YouTube channel, seemingly. So yeah, there are members of the ward that watch my channel. They know about it. And I think this is the reason why the church went after me so hard on that copyright strike. Over the reason they sent lawyers to threaten me with legal action, because they didn't want members to come to my channel and find the other stuff on it. When I was giving them I was giving them the completely vanilla broadcasts from the church leaders. That's what they were getting. But then they would then find my other stuff, and the church really wanted to nip that in the bud, because they don't want your everyday member finding my stuff. So I said, I had apologies to say Joseph could marry girls as young as 9. It would be okay. I'm curious the youngest ages. I don't know. I haven't heard that. But I know the youngest age of his was 14 that I certainly know of. And it's just not really right, is it? Someone's asking, why do Mormons always have trampolines? Is this a thing? I wasn't aware of this as a thing. But apparently, yeah, Mormons have trampolines. Let me know if you're a Mormon and you have a trampoline. Put in the comments. In the debate with RFM and Midnight Mormons, Radio Free Mormon was asked what alternative he provided to people who are leaving the church, and if you felt you had a responsibility for their mental health. How would you answer? I feel similarly to him in a sense that it is not my responsibility to necessarily provide people with an alternative life structure. I'm not the one that lied to people about the history of the organization of which they were a part. I'm not the one that did the damage in that sense. I'm trying to get the truth out there. I think it's the church's responsibility to provide pastoral care to its members, full stop, right? If you're part of that institution, they should provide you pastoral care, but they don't, and it's a problem, and there's nowhere for these members to go when it all cracks, when it all breaks. Peter Bleakley puts it brilliantly. He says they have testimonies made of fired clay. Those pots shatter. If it was unfired clay, if it was malleable, they might stand a chance. So the church doesn't prepare people adequately. Of course they don't, because they don't expect people to leave. I don't want that to be confused, and what RFM was kind of accused of is not caring. I care, and it hurts. Hurts me when people are broken by this and upset by this. And it hurts that they were ever put in that position in the first place, but they deserve to know the truth, even if it is painful. And then, it's not necessarily my responsibility to fix their mental health, but I'm certainly not trying to drive them towards nihilism either. I'm just trying to provide a rational voice in some way. So I hope that answers your question. Again, yeah, if you don't feel like I've answered your question, then feel free to follow up. That's totally fine. His God is the same as always say, so why is the church capitulation? Trampoline. Apparently, Brigham Young's youngest was 15 years old. Okay, cheers, Alma. Apparently, Brigham Young's youngest was 15 years old. So we got an answer for you there. Loads of people saying they had trampolines. Awesome. Awesome trampolines. Someone said Google Earth Utah and admire the trampolines. Okay, cool. Someone saying, for what it's worth, you helped me on my way out of the church and gave me a safe space to recontextualize my experiences up to this point. I'm glad. I'm really glad. Thank you. Thanks for letting me know. I'm really glad about that. Next. Do we have something next? Or the clothes shop? This jumper isn't from Next, if that's the question. Mormon Civil War. I think we're going to wrap this up in a few minutes because I've kept you all long enough. Mormon Civil War is saying, RFM, you, the blog and Knuckles communities, provide epic amounts of therapeutic validation, information, and wisdom about how to handle faith transition. You should big yourselves up more and own that. Probably. Yes. Probably should. But, you know, we're British, so we dare not. Keith mentioned 6 proclamations. Were there to be a 7th? Any guesses, predictions on the subjects? Is that the gospel topics, essays, proclamations? 6 proclamations. Which 6 are they? Sorry, I feel like I'm not understanding your question, which is probably my fault. I will answer this more innocuous question, and then hopefully I'll get a bit more clarity. Have you ever been to Salt Lake City? No. I've never been to America. I feel like I'm probably persona non grata in the Salt Lake Valley. I don't know if I'd be recognized. I doubt it. But, you know, I wouldn't want people throwing stuff at me in the streets or whatever. Doubt that would happen. I'd probably get more attention for my British accent than anything else, which is fine. Was I ever assigned to be a friend to someone? Yeah, we all were. It's called home teaching. I baptized a lad into the church, actually, who I wasn't necessarily assigned to be a friend to, but, you know, that friendship wouldn't have come about unless someone kind of made it my priesthood duty to get to know him and obviously look after him and stuff. So I baptized him. I was assigned to be a friend. Proclamations on the family restoration, etc. What will the next proclamation be on? To answer Heather's question, what will the next one be on? I'm not sure. It could be a more direct... If Dan H. Oakes gets his way, it'll be a direct proclamation on marriage. It won't just be family. It wouldn't be marriage, a proclamation. And he will very, very carefully avoid using the words between one man and one woman. He'll say between a man and a woman, but he'll very carefully avoid between one man and one woman because he wants to leave his polygamous afterlife open. If any of you know of a time when he has said one man and one woman, please let me know. It may be important to an upcoming video. Someone saying Mormon Civil War is Peter, right? Peter, you spoke so beautifully in the BRITVENGERS episode with John D. I was very impressed. So you should be, Sam. Peter is awesome. So there you go. Some love for Peter Bleakley there. We're all sharing the love. Someone saying, visit me in TN, Tennessee? And then I'll take you to Disney World. Sure. I've never been to Disney World. I'm not sure how I would feel about Disney World. I'm not sure they'd let me in Disney World with a mustache like this. Let me know what you think of that. But should I go to Disney World with Doug Vincent? That is the question of the evening. Okay. Thank you for what you do, Nemo. I can only speak for myself. Your videos have been validating and important in my healing from the church. You're very welcome, Waterdrop. Thank you for watching and getting involved in this. So, a reminder to wrap up. Win yourself a bit of Keith. Right? That's what you want. You need some Keith in your life. So, make sure to email me, nemothemormon@gmail.com. I'll put it in the description. To get your very own horse. I will send to you anywhere in the world. There's merch if you don't win the horse. And donate to prostate cancer if you can. Some people have had have really been quite generous and given some money to Prostate Cancer UK, which I'm very grateful for. So thank you for that. There we are, everyone. That is a Ask Me Anything to celebrate the fact that we made it to 5,000 subscribers. It's been a wonderful journey so far. It's been less than a year. I can't wait to see what the next year holds. Hopefully more growth, more content, and more of you guys, because you guys make this really enjoyable. If I was just talking to a screen, then it would be far less enjoyable for me. So make sure to subscribe to me, subscribe to the BRITVENGERS, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, everyone. Bye now.